YouTube? Does it feel good to be back to full capacity? My wrist is completely recovered, and it's time to get back to custom action figures. This is another one of Camunon's characters, Sigma the Shadow. Looking on the little sketch masterpiece here, he is the character in the lower right-hand corner. Of course, I could not replicate the character exactly. For example, the arms had to actually be connected to the body physically, and not just floating in the ether, as the character design is. Also, he has a long spaded tail that I forgot to draw there, but you'll see that once I actually work on the figure. Okay, so for those two big head tentacles, the only thing that would work is, of course, Silver's head. I had cut off his ears and his five-pointed frond spine that's on his forehead so that they may sculpt on the gigantic bat-like ears, single big central spine, and prominent brow of Sigma. Looking at it from all angles, it's a pretty interesting look. I mean, I've never made ears this big, but I have confidence in this kind of clay and that they will hold up. I would have been afraid to make this with my old polymer clay. As for the paint job, Camunon, if you make me paint another character with a design like this, I will walk to Brazil so I can slap you in the face. That would be a heck of a lot less effort than what I actually went through with this guy's head. You know, it's not even really the ornateness of his pattern design with those holes and points and all that twisty design. It's that it's yellow. Do you have any idea how bad yellow is for painting? It takes multiple coats. I wouldn't be mad if this was like blue or green or black, you know, colors that actually cover with a single coat, but that it had to be yellow, and I had to go over the exact pattern twice when it's that intricate. Let's move on to the body. So, the body started out as supersonics. It would not remain that for very long. The first thing I did was cut off the two back spines and the tip of the tail. I then used a drill to make a tiny hole through the tail, which was just the right size that I could put a twist tie from an action figure into it to make the long, twisty tail. I wanted it to be posable, not too heavy, and if necessary, allow it to touch the ground to act like a tripod. Spoiler alert, it's not necessary to act as a tripod, that is. And that's pretty cool considering that it has this wicked spade on the tip of it. You know, because it's supposed to be like a whippy demon tail. You know, whip crack went his demon tail. I have no idea how the lyric goes. Okay, so he has one big back spine, which you're probably seeing right now, and he has fluffy shoulders. Those fluffies, I needed to make them look like that nice shape without actually being fluffy, because then they'd fray. The compromise turned out to be craft foam. Surprisingly useful substance, that craft foam. I cut out the little flame-like fur designs and then cut holes through them and glued them onto the shoulders in a way that hopefully would not block the arms when that time came. Fingers crossed. And then I painted it up. You know, the bottom side of the single spine is black. He has a gray belly. And the rest of him is pretty much white with a bright yellow spaded tail. Why is a character named Sigma the Shadow primarily white? Shadows aren't typically white. Now, for the legs, they started out as knuckles. And Sigma wears something that looks like leg warmers, and he has no real feet. Kind of like Mephiles in that respect. Not only does he wear leg warmers, but when you see them painted, they're fuchsia. That is such a wacky color scheme, it becomes awesome. I mean, here we have this really intimidating looking demon thing with such nasty looking eyes and a spaded tail, and he has pink leg warmers and wrist thingies. It's awesome. Another thing that I seem to be doing for Kamina way too often is making really weird minor tweaky modifications to hands. In this case, he wanted Sigma to have claws on his hands, but he didn't want me to use werehog hands like I had with Slash, what's his name? Thrash, the Cerberus guy. So I used an X-Acto knife to carve out Wave's fingers to have pointy claw tips at the end, and then I sculpted over her relatively thick wristband with the even thicker wristbands that Sigma has. Now this is where the difference from the character design comes, because, you know, on an action figure the arms have to be connected at the elbows and shoulders. And here is the completed Sigma figure. Again, I have to lavish my praise at the ridiculous and yet simultaneously awesome beyond compare character design that this dude has. I mean, just look at him with his yellow flamey decorations on his head spines and his long spaded tail and fluffy shoulders, and then just all that pink. Like, it really is a crazy looking character design, but it is just awesome in its randomness. I love this thing. Now, I sort of make it a point to not know anything about the fan characters that I create, because it spoils the illusion. So, I really don't care to learn about whatever background story Kamion's friend came up with when he designed Sigma, because to me, he's always going to be that demon that's just so awesome he walks around with pink leg warmers. And I like him that way. This is Toy Customizer Wake Angel 2001, signing out.